Hey, what's going on? It's Joey Myers from the Hitting Performance Lab, and in this video we're going to go over some wrist exercises, some wrist stretches first, and then some wrist exercises that I've been doing going through Coach Summers, who is the former National Olympic men's gymnastics coach, from gymnasticbodies.com, and you can go to gymnasticbodies.com/Tim, which is actually a URL I got from a podcast. You can get $25 off their foundational course, which is what I went through. It's a great course for, I think, for all my hitters. I recommend it to my parents online especially, and I'm going through the course myself and have specifically with the wrist exercises. I've had some from 17 years of playing ball, and this action, I ended up chipping my ulna my last year in college by a fastball, got hit by a fastball. So some of that is probably building up to a pinch that I was getting in a push-up position, at the bottom of a push-up position. So my right wrist only, not my left, but I don't think it was coincidence as that was my throwing arm. And after doing the wrist stretches, just the wrist stretches, that pinch went away within a couple weeks. So this is something I think is very much underrated in the baseball and softball circles. Wrist flexibility or mobility, whatever you want to call it, but opening up the wrist can help open up the elbow, which can help open up the shoulder a little bit. So let's go over some of the wrist exercises or stretches that I do routinely every single day pretty much now. Because of that, I don't want that pinch coming back. So the first one is it's a rocking motion. So you want to get into kind of like a all four position or a modified all four position, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that the arms are straight, so the elbows are pretty much locked out, and we want to make sure that we're feeling like we're bending at the joint, at the wrist joint. So you want to make sure that you feel that the bottom of the palm stays down on the ground, because some of these players are going to be so tight that when they go forward that their wrist is going to, or the palm part, bottom of the palm is going to come off the ground. So you want to make sure that the whole palm stays flat and that you feel that stretch in the front, like you're going to feel some, maybe possibly some pinching or just some stretching going on in the back of the front a little bit. So you're going to do about 10 just rocks. You're not going to hold the stretch, just kind of 10 rocks forward like this. The next wrist stretch we're going to do is we're going to turn the fingertips facing the body. So those other ones are the fingertips facing away, and we're going to rock back. Same idea. The bottom of the palm is going to want to pull off the mat or pull off the ground. You want to make sure you keep that on the ground, and you're just trying to fold your wrist. Try to fold your forearm over your wrist. Same idea, you want to keep the arms nice and straight. That's where we maximize the stress, and we're just going to do about 10 rocks like that. The next one, and this one can be quite painful, this was for me, so you want to be careful with this with your athletes, but we're going to go palms up on these ones. What I try and do is I try and line up the middle of the forearm to point straight ahead on both sides. They're going to want to turn a little bit because they're tight, so you want to keep that forward, arms straight at the elbow. And we want to also make sure that what I try and do is I try and turn my elbow pit as far forward as I can. I try and turn it forward while keeping the middle of the forearm pointing straight ahead, or middle of the wrist pointing straight ahead. And then you're going to do the same thing here. You're just going to rock, trying to relax the hands. I try and space the fingers out a little bit, and we're just going to rock, and try and keep the top of the forearm, the top of the wrist right here, in contact with the ground. I'm using a yoga mat here that's padded because there's cement underneath that, so you also don't want to create pain in the surface that you're doing this on. So using a pillow or using something, because this can be painful enough. My wrists have gotten a lot more loose since I first started this, but those three I generally do every day. You can also do one where you go fingers facing away, same idea, arms straight, and then rocking forward. It's similar stretch as this one, but I feel like I get more stretch with this one than I do with this one, so I don't really do this one as much. I just kind of spend a little bit more time doing this. So those are the wrist stretches. Your players will get a lot out of that just from that. Again, this is going to help both throwing and hitting. So let's talk about some strength exercises for the hands. Now, I've progressed through the program. I'm actually in the handstand program at gymnasticbodies.com. So I progressed quite a bit. I will talk about the regressions that you can do with this. Most of your players aren't going to be able to do this in a on your knee push-up position. I'm actually going into the full plank position with the push-up. You don't have to do the push-up. This is, again, progression. But the first exercise is, I wrote these down, wrist push-up. So you're going to get into kind of like that wrist stretch position, except the fingers are going to be facing each other. Okay, I'm just going to, actually I'll just show you the plank, I won't show you the push-up. So from here, what we want to do is arms straight, we want to push our back nice and big, or push into the ground, and we're just going to come up to a thumb position where you got the thumb out in front and coming back down. So you're trying to, you know, it's not how fast you can do it, but just feeling that stretch there, making sure that there's not a ton of pain, and we're coming here. Okay, the next one is a knuckle push-up. I actually like this one a lot, and I find that my right wrist, obviously my throwing wrist or fingers, are so tight, and you might be able to see it in the video possibly. But what we're going to do here is we're going to push up, trying to get our finger at the bottom of the finger joint into a 90-degree angle, and then doing the right side. You can come back down, you can start right side, left side. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but my right, I'm really struggling to try and get that thing to 90 degrees. Okay, again, it's a lot of work. Those tendons in the hand that run into the palm from my fingers are very tight. So those are knuckle push-ups. The next one's wrist number 2 push-ups, or knuckle push-ups, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But we're going to go into what looks like a knuckle push-up position. And what we're going to do is we're going to flip we're basically doing this with our wrist. Okay, so we're going to go forward, and then from here we're going to come down. We're going to bend the arms on this one, and we're going to try and bend the wrist this way. Okay, so forward, backward. Forward, again, straight arms, backwards. We're just trying to bend at the wrist, on the sides of the wrist. So those are the wrist push-up number 2. Fingertip push-ups, these are good ones. Hands going to be fingers together. We're going to be from this position. You're going to push up and try and keep weight on that side of the arm, because the player is going to want to shift away from that hand. Try and keep the weight dispersed equally over your hands as you do it. We're trying to train the fingers, the hand, and the forearm in strength to try and push the weight up in this direction. So those are some stretches, some strength exercises. I wanted to let you know on a couple regressions on the strength exercises. So what you can do is you can start, and this is how it goes in gymnastic bodies. Coach Summers talks about, you want to start on the wall, basically arms 90 degrees, your body's parallel to the wall, and you can do go through all those wrist push-ups, knuckle, wrist 2, and fingertip push-ups. You can go through all those and do the same exact things. To make it harder, you lean against the wall like you're doing a wall push-up with the body at an angle. That makes it harder from just straight with the body parallel to the wall. And then you can go down and you can start to do the push-up position on the knees, doing the exercise, and then you can go into a full plank position and doing those exercises. So I hope this video was good. Again, we went over some wrist stretches that I would advise every day for your players to do. The wrist exercises, or the hand exercises, however you want to call it, I would suggest maybe 2 to 3 times a week. But those are going to help your hitters to mobilize and get their their wrists a little bit more flexible, mobile, however you want to say it, and the strength exercises are going to help with stability over there. So make sure that we're swinging smarter by moving better. And before I let you go,
the Hitting Performance Lab wants to know, did you know that you may be losing out on 8 miles per hour of average bat speed because of one commonly taught hitting technique? Have you ever heard the coaching terms, squish the bug, squish out the cigarette butt? Well, we created a free video revealing the results of a scientific study that will show you how we added an average of 8 miles an hour to average bat speed by doing the exact opposite of squishing the bug. Click here now to get the video while it's still free.